everybody, it's Ryan McCaffrey from IGN, joined by Kynan Pearson, the lead multiplayer level designer at 343 Industries on Halo 4. He is being kind enough to take us on a behind-the-scenes strategic developer insight tour of all 10 Halo 4 multiplayer maps. This one is called Ragnarok, and something tells me I'm going to like this one a lot.
Yeah, this map may be familiar to you if you're a Halo fan. This is the return of a curious gorge that was once in a Halo title before.
Well, that narrows it down to 2 maps, so let's see which one it is.
All right, Ragnarok is the return of Valhalla.
One of Halo 3's finest maps, for sure. What has changed about it?
So we've kept the layout, hills, and structures mostly the same. There's been additional art detail put in, but we've also had to make a few minor changes to certain things to make sure that the vehicles function with our current sandbox and that the level flows with the new details of the default player package. So as you get in here, you can see that this is the Valhalla that you know and love,
except
reimagined
way prettier
as Ragnarok. So the Forerunner structures have changed. We've got, all new artistic details and elements that have been added. Let's take you through a tour of the interior of the base. So coming in here, you can see that still familiar elements, minor things have been added, but
do we still go inside
structure,
the base to pick up the battle rifle?
No, that's actually changed. Weapon placement has changed in the map just based on the initial ordnance and the new ordnance system. Plus, because you can spawn with a BR immediately in your custom loadout,
yes.
There's no need to actually have it placed in the same location.
So do we still have a power weapon in the middle of the map?
There are power weapons in the map. Some of the initial ordnance actually spawns randomized locations of power weapons, one of which is the binary rifle, which is a one-shot precision kill weapon. It's the Forerunner sniper rifle, but the interesting detail about it is that whenever you do pick it up and you zoom in, there's a red laser leading exactly back to where you're pointing at, and it can kill in one hit any location. So you can graze somebody's toe and they will still disintegrate. So yeah, you can see familiar routes, familiar paths. Again, some of the details of certain jumps and how the rocks are shaped and some of those details have definitely changed. But for the most part, it's incredibly familiar and still plays just as great, though in a completely new way with the updated Halo 4 sandbox elements and loadouts.
So we have, back by the base, we have a Warthog, we have a Ghost, but we also have something else.
Yeah, one of the new additions and something that dramatically changes the way that Valhalla plays is the Mantis. So getting into the Mantis, you can see that the lines of sight in Valhalla from its original inception still definitely allow for good coverage when you're in vehicles.
Now, how can we? You guys have made a lot of updates so that the Banshee isn't as overpowered. You can use, or the Scorpion. You've slowed the Scorpion down. You can halt it by hitting it with an overcharged plasma pistol. What is the defense against this terrifying-looking walking mech?
Well, the other vehicles do stand a chance. You have the Banshee, which creates some interesting and dynamic fights between the opposing Mantises. In addition, you do have Plasma Pistol, which can EMP the mech, and power weapons. If everyone's focus firing, you can pop the Mantis's shields, as well as doing enough damage to take it down with enough focus fire from the team.
So are there any vulnerable points to the pilot at all? Like, can you hit him in the head from behind or anything like that?
As far as I'm aware, there's definitely, there's not a specific weak spot against it, though you can mount the Mantis and plant grenades.
Can you board it? Can you take the Mantis?
You can destroy it. You can't take someone out of it.
Okay.
So otherwise, that changes the way that that Valhalla feels, or Ragnarok, our reimagining. But the other thing is that with the addition of armor abilities, which is new to the way that you would traditionally think about Valhalla, it changes the dynamic of the level quite a bit.
How so? I'd love to hear an example or two out of that. What couple of armor abilities might really shift the way this map plays and feels?
Well, first and foremost, sprint by default means that you can cover a lot more ground without the use of vehicles. So it gives you a little bit of an advantage in getting out of some of the distance combat. The other thing is just in general, you've never played Valhalla with armor abilities. So everything from jetpack to thruster pack, the shield, regen field, just camo. They all change the way that the map feels and some of the strategies that you can use. And the cool thing is that we've seen a lot of like dynamic fights happen over certain areas that, you know, you would never get in Halo 3.
Now, Halo games, every Halo game, of course, obviously since the first one, has brought back maps from previous Halo games because they're just, Halo, if nothing else, is known for its classic multiplayer maps. What made you guys, when you're putting Halo 4 together and you've got your new sandbox, you've got your new vehicles and armor abilities, what makes you sit down and go, you know what, let's bring back Valhalla?
Well, we definitely knew that we wanted to bring back a map, or we knew that we wanted to have a return to something that people had fond memories of, and Valhalla was always a favorite in the studio. And when we were looking at the BTB maps that we had and the large scale maps and small and mid, it was the one that always came up to the front as being the most supportive of our sandbox and the one that would work out the best. So, you know, we had definitely experiments with a bunch of different maps, but this one came out on top just because it's such a great Halo map. And it just does so many things that we wanted to take advantage of. So rather than build something that facilitated the same purpose, why not bring back one of the best?
Any pro tips for Valhalla this time around?
I guess it's basically making sure that you have a coordinated team in regards to the usage of the Banshee and the Mantis. So don't try and go toe-to-toe with the Mantis with the Banshee unless you're in an advantageous situation, because, you know, depending on the exchange, if you're flying too high, then the Mantis can mow down the Banshee with the chain gun and missiles.
That actually brings up a good point before we close out this particular video. Is the Banshee good for coordinating a team effort, and should you use it to protect the Mantis? Can the two of you, I mean, the Mantis is obviously very slow and the Banshee is very quick, but if you sort of circle around the Mantis, is that a good way to protect your player in the Mantis?
It's definitely possible. I mean, the great thing about the Halo sandbox is that everybody plays differently, and it's up to teams to kind of define their own strategies. We've found with some of the teams that we've put together on competitive modes that protecting the Mantis works really well even with just a ground team. Just people clearing them out and making sure that the Mantis isn't fully exposed and out of cover. But again, a good Banshee flyer, you know, is always going to be devastating with the Banshee bomb, which makes a comeback. So making sure that you use cover and, you know, keep out of range of some of the longer range power weapons, you'll be able to defend the Mantis with a Banshee. So coordination is always good. Although
now that I actually think about it, maybe would the Ghost be a better protector, because you really can just sort of stay with him and circle around him.
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about Halo is like it's up to people to kind of experiment with the things that they feel might work, and you might be able to test that whenever you play yourself. So let me know what you think whenever you you get in there and you're trying to find a way to protect your Mantis.
Well, that is Valhalla returning as Ragnarok. Keep it locked to IGN for developer walkthroughs of all 10 Halo 4 multiplayer maps.